right, so you might have heard we're going to be out in Sacramento a week or so from now to cover this Tea Party protest on the 15th. You might also have heard a lot of other news organizations are not going to be there. Now, I know why we are there. I'm not quite sure why they are not. Apparently, these populist protests don't count much for them. Millions concerned they're being taxed and feed to death counts even less for them. But a million-man march that turns out to be well shy of a million men, even 500,000 men, does count for them. We covered the follow-up marches to that million-man march because no matter the number, it was a big deal, and its message about personal responsibility was an even bigger deal. You see, we didn't pick and choose our protests, and we don't now. We covered those against the Iraq War, just as we did the far less publicized rallies for the Iraq War. Some of us had serious questions about global warming, but that didn't get in the way of our covering protests railing against global warming. That is being fair and balanced, my friends. Here is what is not. Deciding what protests fit a politically correct litmus test. Apparently, protests against big government do not. Protests demanding more government do. I bet you, if there was a protest of taxpayers demanding we all pay more taxes, that'd get covered. Not this, not now. Why? Because populist rage doesn't matter, or this populist rage doesn't matter. I wonder if there were, I don't know, a New York Times or a CNN back in the day of the real Boston Tea Party, would either so much have bothered sending a reporter or a crew to cover the event? I doubt it. Why cover some nuts throwing tea into Boston Harbor when you harbor doubts about the nuts throwing the tea? Until you discover they're not nuts, and it's not about tea, and you're on the wrong side. Not of the protest, but of something else. History. Now, I know there are many people who come back at that and say, well, you know, Neil, that was really about taxation without representation, and it was a whole thing with a foreign country and all that. Do you think some of the fee increases, tax increases, big government moves represent all our views? When tens of thousands, potentially hundreds of thousands of Americans beg to differ, do you ignore that? Or do you just cover that and see what comes of that? That is that. And that is why we're covering it.